Let's discuss Ielts reading passage 3, academic Ielts, book 19, the persistence and peril of misinformation. As per rule, we will start from questions. We have 3 types of questions left. First one is summary completion, multiple choice questions, and yes, no, not given. So let's start from summary completion because they are in order. So we will solve them first. Although people have dash to misinformation, question number 31, there is debate about precisely how and when we label something as true or untrue. Although people have dash to misinformation, we don't know what people have. The philosophers Descartes and Spinoza had dash. We have to look for these 2 words in the passage where they are given. Then we will be able to answer this question, Descartes and Spinoza. Yes, in 5th passage, we can see these 2 words, Descartes and Spinoza. One was French philosopher and other was Dutch philosopher. Knowing what people initially encounter misinformation hold tremendous importance for estimating the potential for subsequent problem. Although it is fairly routine for individual to come across information that is false. This is the key word, fairly routine for individuals. Individual means people. To come across, we have to find synonymous words of fairly routine is yes, frequent exposure, G. Here it is given, frequent exposure. Keep in mind, in these type of questions, they only check your vocabulary. And in summary completion with the box, you have to find synonymous word that will help you complete your sentence. For example, fairly routine means frequent exposure. So we will write G in 31st question. You don't need to write frequent exposure. You just have to write letter A, B, C, and D, etc. The philosopher Descartes and Spinoza had dash about how people engage with misinformation. While Descartes believed that people accept or reject information after considering whether it is true or not, Spinoza argued that people accepted all information they encountered and by default misinformation and did not verify or reject until afterwards. So let's look at the passage where Descartes and Spinoza are given. In the same passage, 5th line, Descartes argued that a person only accepts or rejects information after considering its truth or falsehood. Spinoza argued that people accept all encountered information. So these 2 have different opinions, different ideas. So one says that people accept and one says people do not accept. So they 2 have different ideas. So our option will be J. Had different ideas about how people engage with information. Next, moreover, Spinoza believed that a distinct dash is involved in these stages. Our keyword is distinct. we have to find the synonymous word of distinct, then we will be able to answer this question. Let's look at the same passage. Then subsequently reject through separate cognitive process. The word separate represents distinct. Cognitive process. Cognitive process means cognitive is related to brain, like thinking process. So if you know the meaning of cognitive process, then you will be able to answer this question. What is the synonymous word of cognitive? Cognitive is related to brain, so cognitive mean mental operations. It is written in H, so our answer will be H. I have already told you that in summary completion with box, you have to pick synonymous words, and in summary completion without box, you have to pick exact words. So our answer will be H. Cognitive mental operations is involved in these stages. Recent research has provided dash for Spinoza's theory, and it would appear that people accept all encountered information as if it were true, even if for an extremely dash. Let's find Spinoza's theory. Yes, it is written in the same passage. In recent decades, empirical evidence from the research team of Chicago and Daniel Gilbert at Harvard University, among others, has supported Spinoza's account. So here we find the word empirical evidence. Empirical means additional. So let's find its synonymous word, and that is additional evidence. We will write B here. Research has provided additional evidence for Spinoza's theory, and it would appear that people accept all encountered information. 35. And dash do not label the information as true or false until later. Let's find its answer in the passage. People appear to, let's read the same passage. People appear to encode all new information as if it were true, even if only momentarily, and later tag the information as being either true or false. So the word momentarily will help us find the answer. So we will write E, short period, because momentarily means short period, for very short duration. So our answer will be E, short period. This is consistent with the fact that resources for skepticism and the resources for perceiving and encoding are in dash in the brain. So let's find the word skepticism and brain. Yes, the last line of the same passage, that seems consistent with the observation that mental resources for skepticism physically reside in different part of the brain, in different part. But what is given in the summary? Here it is given different locations, C. We will write answer C, because different part is synonymous with different location. So in this way we have solved this passage. You have seen that all the answers are given in one passage, one paragraph only. So in these type of questions, the examiners only check your vocabulary. Now let's move on to the next questions. Question number 37 to 40. Yes, no, not given. Yes, they are same like what? Yes, true, false, not given. But keep in mind, if for true, false, if you write yes, no, and for yes, no, if you write true, false, your answer will be wrong. Keep in mind, you have to follow the instructions which are given by the examiner. So let's read these questions. Campaigns designed to correct misinformation will fail to achieve their purpose if people are unable to understand them. Let's find the word campaign where it is given. Campaigns. Yes, second last passage. For corrective campaigns to be persuasive, audiences need to be able to comprehend them, which requires either effort to frame message in ways that are accessible or effort to educate and sensitize audience to the possibility of misinformation. What is given in the statement? Campaigns designed to correct misinformation will fail to achieve their purpose if people are unable to understand them. What them represents? People? No, it's wrong. How people will understand people? Them represents campaigns. If you understand this word, then you will be able to answer this question. So what he says, to correct misinformation will fail to achieve their purpose if people are unable to understand them. And what he says in the passage, that corrective campaigns to be persuasive, audiences need to be able to comprehend them. So same, this information is given in the passage. We will write yes. Question number 38. Attempts to teach elementary school students about misinformation have been opposed. Let's see in the passage, second last passage. Yes, some audiences might be aware of the potential misinformation to suggest the utility of media literacy effort as early as elementary schools. Even with journalists and scholars pointing to the phenomena of fake news, people do not distinguish between demonstrably false stories and those based in fact when scanning and processing written information. So what he says in statement, attempts to teach elementary school students about misinformation have been opposed. And in the passage he says, suggest the utility of media literacy effort as early as elementary school, even with journalists and schools pointing to the phenomena of fake news. People do not distinguish between them. So no information is giving related the opposition that people opposed. So we will write not given, because we don't find any information regarding opposed or anything else. Question number 39. It may be possible to overcome the problem of misinformation in relatively short period. So here the key word is short period. Let's look at the passage. In the last passage, first line, we live at a time when widespread misinformation is common, yet at this time many people also passionately developing potential solutions and remedies. The journey forward undoubtedly will be a long and arduous one. Here in the passage he says undoubtedly long, and in the information he says relatively short. So our answer will be no, because the information in the question and in the passage contradicts. So we will write no. Number 40, the need to keep up the new information is hugely exaggerated in today's world. The need to keep up with new information is hugely exaggerated in today's world. Let's read the question. Let's read in the passage. Misinformation, last passage, last line. Misinformation arises as a result of human fallibility and human information needs. To overcome the worst effects of the phenomena, we will need coordinated efforts over time rather than any singular one-time panacea we could hope to offer. So here is no mention of exaggeration. We are unable to conclude that whether it was exaggerated or not. So when we are left in such a situation, we will choose not given. So the answer will be not given. You have seen in the 4 questions, 1 was yes, 2 was not given, and 1 was no. Let's move on to the portion multiple choice questions. We will solve it at the end, because when you have solved all other ordered questions, then it is easy for you to find information regarding MCQs. What point does the writer, multiple choice question number 27 to 30, what point does the writer make about misinformation in the first paragraph? So let's read first paragraph. Misinformation, both deliberately promoted and accidentally shared, is perhaps an inevitable part of the world in which we live. But it is not a new problem. People likely have lived to one another for roughly as long as verbal communication has existed. Deceiving others can offer an apparent opportunity to gain strategic advantage, to motivate others to action, or even to protect interpersonal bonds. Moreover, people inadvertently have been sharing inaccurate information with one another for thousands of years. Let's look at the information. Let's look at the MCQs. Option A, misinformation is a relatively recent phenomenon. Here is no mention of a recent phenomena, because he says it's an old phenomena. So this will be wrong. B, some people find it easy to identify misinformation. No, it is not given. Misinformation changes as it passes from one person to another. This is fact, but this is not given in the passage. Keep in mind, while solving questions, you have to pick your answer from the passage. If you give answer on your general knowledge or fact based, which is not mentioned in the passage, your answer will be considered wrong. So it's a fact, but it's not given. This technique is called elimination or excluding the option. We exclude the option and we will find the right option. Last one, there may be a number of reasons for the spread of misinformation. Yes, let's find the number of reasons he has given in the passage 1. Number 1, deceiving other can offer apparent opportunity to gain strategic advantage. This is your first reason. Number 2, motivate others to action. Your second reason. Number 3, interpersonal bond, to protect interpersonal bonds. So all these 3 reasons, so our option will be D. There may be a number of reasons for the spread of misinformation. So we have highlighted how many reasons? 3 reasons. Very good. 28. What does the writer say about the role of technology? Let's find the word technology. It is given in passage 2. Yes. First line, the very first line. However, we currently live in an era in which technology enables information to reach large audiences disturbed across the globe, and thus the potential for immediate and widespread efforts from misinformation now looms larger than in the past. Yet the means to correct misinformation, this is your answer. Yet the means to correct misinformation might over time be found in those same patterns. Same patterns means same patterns from where you spread misinformation. You can spread true news. You can spread true information of mass communication and of the facilitated spread of information. The same pattern suggests something. Let's look at question statement. And it may at some point provide us with a solution to misinformation. It could fundamentally alter the way in which people regard information. No. It changed the way in which organizations use misinformation. It had made easier for us to check whether information is accurate. No. Alpha is the right option. It may at some point provide us with a solution to misinformation, because same pattern means if you can separate a misinformation from same resource, you can also separate true information from the same resource, same pattern. So the same pattern suggests answer A. 29. What is the writer doing in the fourth paragraph? We don't know what he is doing. Let's look at fourth paragraph, and we wish he might be doing something good. At least, yes, at least 3 observations. Passage 4. At least 3 observations related to misinformation in the contemporary mass media environment warrant the attention of researchers, policymakers, and really everyone who watches television, listens to the radio, or reads information online. First of all, people who encounter misinformation need to believe it at least initially. Secondly, electronic and print media often do not block many types of misinformation before it appears in content available to large audience. Thirdly, countering misinformation once it enjoyed wide exposure can be resource-intensive effort. Let's read the question. What is the writer doing in the fourth paragraph? Number 1, A, comparing the different opinions. He never compared anything in the passage we have just read. Number 2, explaining how the effects of misinformation have changed over time. In that passage, there is no mention of time. Outlining which issues connected with misinformation are significant today. Outlining mean when you outline something, you say first, second, third. So this is our answer, because in the passage he says, first of all, people encounter misinformation. Secondly, electronic and print media. And thirdly, encountering misinformation once it has overjoyed wide exposure. So these things, first, second, third, we can say this is called outlining. So C is our answer. D, describing the attitude of policymakers. No, he has mentioned the word policymaker, but he didn't mention any policy towards misinformation in the media. So the last question is, what point does the writer make about regulation in the USA? Let's find the word USA in the passage. Yes, title page, last paragraph, in the third line. FDA, Food and Drug Administration. Here the United States is given. What point does the writer make about regulation in the USA? Let's find alpha. The guideline issued by FDA need to be simplified. Let's read what he says. In the United States, regulatory agencies here tend to focus on post hoc detection of broadcast information. Organizations such as the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, offer considerable monitoring and notification functions, but these roles typically do not involve preemptive censoring. The FDA oversees direct-to-consumer prescription drug advertising, for example, and has developed mechanisms such as bad ad program, through which people can report advertising in apparent violation of FDA guideline on drug risks. Now let's read the question. LA, the guidelines issued by FDA needs to be simplified. No, here is no mention of simplification of guidelines. Regulation does not affect people's opinion of new prescription to drugs. New prescription to drug is not mentioned in the passage. The USA has more regulatory body than most other countries. You must keep in mind while reading the passage that there was no comparison between USA and other countries. He just gives information related to USA. Last, D. Regulation fails to prevent misinformation from appearing in the media. This is our answer. D will be right answer according to passage.